As a young designer, should your goal be to win one of these design awards? In today's video, I want to explain to you what the background procedures are for design awards, but also I want to shine a critical light on design awards and communicate clearly to you what the problems and pitfalls are, where critique is necessary, and what that would mean for you as a young designer so you can make a well-opinionated decision about if it's something to aim for or if it's something to ignore. Let's go. All right, design awards is a big topic, right, for designers and clients also. And it comes with a huge promise. And for today's video, I will just talk about the main design awards that I'm used to or know from the field. There are many more, right? There's so many design awards, it's incredible. But I want to talk about these major players, which all have more or less similar procedures and structures with slightly different focus points or goals and variations in the procedures with an overall similar outcome, right? You get the award and you can show off your product as a award-winning design. So this is the Red Dot design, Good Design from Japan, Red Dot is from Germany, If Design from Germany, K Design is an upcoming design award from Korea, and the A Design award from Italy. So winning these awards comes with a big promise, right? It's celebrated with a big event, with a ceremony. People are dressed all fancy and festive, and you get these trophies, official certificates that basically subscribe your product to be of excellent design, of world-class global design leadership, innovation, and all these big words that are being used, right? If Design, for example, says that the If Design Award is a global seal of excellent design, right? The Red Dot Design says that they are in search of good design. A Design states about the winners that they are the very best designers who advance mankind and society as a whole. Good Design says that it has continued its activities to make people's lives and society better. And the K Design Award says it's honoring designers who shape the future of global design. So you already see that the words that are being used are huge, right? It's about excellence in design, global impact, advance and innovation of mankind and society, shaping the future of the world, right? So this is a promise that these awards give, which is really big and it's hard to fulfill. But obviously it sounds great and it is attractive for designers, but also for clients that look for designers. So the promise is clear. If you win, you are amongst the best designers in the world and you created something outstanding in the field of design. And other benefits that they proclaim these awards is that the awards signals proficiency, right? So if you won an award, then it's clear to everybody that you are professional in your industry, that you know exactly how to design, and that it's validated by other professional international designers who were the judges of the awards, right? So also for clients that are looking for designers, this means that the risk is reduced, right? Because they already have sort of a guarantee that the people that are working on the design here know what they're doing. They were already validated. They have an award, so we can trust in their design expertise and leadership. Another thing is that you as a designer get recognition if you have an award, right? Or as a studio, you get recognition. And that also boosts the confidence and the security about one's own skills in design and understanding of design, right? If you know that your work is being acknowledged by a broad design audience, then you will more confidently work on your other projects and share your opinions and make clear design decisions. Obviously, these design awards promise to increase your visibility, right? There's like the mark of these design awards. There's online presentations. There's physical exhibitions and museums where these art pieces and designs are being exhibited and showcased. And there's all kinds of additional platforms where your work is being published. So the potential for growth and networking is striking. Even as a winner, you will potentially get more chances to be speaking about designing your work. And because you're being classified as a professional, excellent designer, right, in your industry. And the award is the seal of excellence. And it also often comes with an indirect promise of higher sales, right? So what the thing is, basically, is if you design something and it has a design award, then you can ask a higher price because you have a design award, right? Or indirectly, it's linked to the willingness of people to spend more, or more of the people to spend on this product if it's awarded this design award, right? Because it's a seal of excellence. But this is obviously, they cannot promise it directly, but indirectly, at least, that's one of the assumptions that comes along also from the client side. Often what I noticed in the industry is that, all right, we have this project, and from the get-go of this project, our goal is to get a design award. And you have to more or less, as a design studio, be able to guarantee that we will get it, because our expectation is that if it's a design awarded project, that we will be able to make better sales numbers and higher sales values. So let me just go to some of these pages directly and show you what they state about what the benefits are for winners, right? So on the If Design page, for example, it says that entering the design awards is the ultimate test of your design skills. No matter your success in the competition, you will get professional feedback. So if you win, find the benefits. you get the winner logo. So that's one of the benefits. The winner package, you get feedback from design experts. So every entry gets the judges' feedback as a return package where they can implement changes potentially if it's not too late already. You can participate in the design award night and take part in design trend conferences. You get access to the trend reports, right? So there are all these things that they say are benefits that come with participating and winning the design. And I think the good, here, why you should participate in the Good Design Awards, right? What is the value? And they say achievement and honor. Good Design Award has been recognized by a wide range of lifestylers for more than 60 years, right? So also they advertise with being acknowledged across a long time span. So historically, they have been a strong representative of design and value and understanding of aesthetic. Then reliability and recognition. The Good Design Award is globally known and recognized by domestic and international designers. It helps to increase the recognition and reliability of awarded works and awarded companies. And apparently, the Good Design Award specifically stands as a symbol of social significance because it promotes problem solving through design and focuses on the significance of design to people and society. So it's not just about aesthetic value and appeal. So the awarded works will be considered a design that will improve future society, right? So some of them have a stronger emphasis on these aspects than others, but more or less, most of them state some meaningfulness. Now we look into the procedures, right? Obviously, they vary between the different awards, but in general, the procedure is more or less the same, right? You have a design that you submit following specific criteria and categories, right? And then the designs go through several rounds of judgment. And if you're a winner, you will be contacted and informed about your win, and then there will be an award show, and the marketing wave starts rolling about all the winners, right? So in more detail, that means that the submissions follow a specified procedure, right? That means that you have to, I don't know, maybe it can only be 40 images of a certain file size, file format, PNG, PDF, whatever, JPG or JPEG, or it can be 3D, can be video. Some you have to bring the physical product at a later stage during the judgment, not from the get-go, right? But for the final evaluation. And you must make sure that your products are even eligible, that they can even fit the requirements to be entered. So for some awards, that means that they cannot be older than a certain age, right? That they have to be more or less recent. And then there are certain different categories. For example, mostly they have to be market ready. So that means that they have to be able to be sold in that specific year on the market. Or if they are still conceptual, then they have to potentially switch to another award category, which is the concept category, for example. So where it's clear that this is not a production ready product yet, right? And others have even more criteria that has to be met, right? For some, it's also longer time spans that are allowed. And then obviously there's also student design applications possible. And then you can only participate if you just left university 1 year ago, 2 years ago, for some it's even 5 years ago still. So all these different criteria you have to understand before you can actually submit your designs, right? And then there's usually an international panel with these big awards of judges that evaluates based on different criteria. So if we go back to them specifically, the IF design, let's see what kind of criteria do they have. Yeah, for the IF design award, for example, you must fulfill, or it's evaluated based on these 5 criteria: the idea, the form, the function, differentiation, and sustainability. And based on the evaluation on these 5 criteria, your design either gets like an award or not, right? Gets a high rating or not. And more specifically, it says about the idea that does the design achieve what it sets out to do? Is the design relevant? Does it fit the purpose? Does the design engage the target group? How is it made? So with like very simple questions, the judges can try to make an assessment that is more or less objective, would be the wrong word, but transparent and understandable, right? In terms of form, why is one design stronger than another one based on the questions that we set out to the judges? Then we have function. Is it easy to use? Does it work well? Is it new? Does it fit to the brand? Does it benefit society? Is it sustainable, right? All these points. And then for the red dot design, we have other judging criteria, right? The quality of function. What purpose does the product fulfill? The quality of seduction. Is the product aesthetically convincing? Quality of use. Is the product self-explanatory and easy to use? Is it sustainable or durable, right? So different criteria. So that also means that you can potentially more easily get one award before another one. The K Design Award, for example, they evaluate based on aesthetics, originality, and practicality, right? So even a different kind of approach. Yeah. And also, I'm not sure if all of these do the same, but I assume that at least some of them, the judges have to individually judge the designs. And I expect that some also have some sort of panel where the judges have to agree to make final decisions about the best of the best potentially. And then if you win, then you have to also agree to certain terms posed by the awards, right? So you can only make public that you are a winner after they give you the green light in order to make sure that you don't preemptively state that you win. And because there's like a whole marketing funnel behind this, right? So every winner has to be able to announce at the same time. Nobody has to have an advantage because there's a lot of money involved, a lot of sales, and a lot of investment has gotten into the whole thing. So has to be regulated in some way. And that's why and how the awards make sure that things follow procedure by making sure that, okay, people subscribe to just making things public once they are allowed to do so, and also under very specific conditions. They can only use a specific type of logo and only specific combinations, right? And only specific logos if they want like extra honorary titles. It's different from the basic award, right? So all these things have to be considered and regulated. And then the whole thing ends with the ceremonial event with the red carpet and champagne. So these award providers, they also really try to elevate the experience and make it prestigious by creating this very formal event for designers from all over the world to come there physically, to exchange also with each other, but also to be impressed and shown the magic of it all, right? To validate it more, to enhance the value, to make it a premium experience beyond just like, all right, now you have an award, this is it, let's go. No, this is actually something we care about deeply, and it's important, and that's why we also want to hand you personally a trophy that counts as the awards of excellence. Yeah. Also, all of these awards, they have multiple categories that you can apply for. So for the IF Design Awards, it's product design, packaging design, branding, like architecture, automotive, right? So all these different awards put different emphasis on different categories, but more or less you will find most industrial design fields represented in all of them. So you can also potentially just apply for several of these awards if their terms do not forbid, right, to do so. And now I want to share with you the critique that I have, and that is also reflected by a broader part of the design community that I got to know in exchange, right? So design awards nowadays often feel like pay to win, right? We know this concept from gaming, where the more you pay, the better is your equipment, your weapons, your armor, right, in games. And design awards feel a little bit like that too, because the further up you go in the ranking and the higher your degree of winning is, the more you have to pay. So if you take a look again, for example, where do we have it? Here. The entry fee for the K Design Award, right? Depending on if you're early or late, you pay several $100s. If you are professional and not a company, then you pay a little bit less, and companies usually pay a little bit more, right? And then if you basically make the first round of evaluation and judgment, you have to pay an additional $700 or $650. And if you win, you have to pay an additional amount of fees, right? Here it's $125. And only then, only after you paid, you are actually allowed to use the award, basically buy the awards to be able and allowed to use them on your product, on your sales, on your marketing. And here, even students have to pay in the later rounds. Usually the students entry for free, and depending on their progression in the award judgment, they might have to pay a rather small amount comparatively, right? But for all of them, you do have to pay, right, the fees at a glance. For IF Design, it's also several hundreds, right, per entry. And then in the second round, you add another 300 per entry. And if you win, you have to pay several thousands, depending on what kind of winner's package you want to book in order to actually be allowed to sell as a award-winning design, right? I mean, for Red Dot Design, it's also similar. So they pay like a basic fee between 400 and 500 and 900, and additional fees for the winner package, basic Red Dot Award, and the best of the best, it's even up to 12,800 euros. So if you win, you pay more. And let's just to give you an idea of what's part of the winner's package, right? So you get the label license advanced in order to use the Red Dot label throughout the entire life cycle of your product, right? So at least the award usage is not restricted to the life cycle or to 10 years, but you can use it for the whole life of the product. So that's even still a thing. They could change their terms, so it's only allowed to show the award 10 years after winning. Then they get the trophy on the gala, they get 4 tickets. So that's the boat package, right? In the regular package, they only get 2 tickets for the gala. Then they get several copies of the certificate, and they are represented in the marketing material with 1 or 2 pages with big photographs. And they get like a copy of the book with all the winners. They are publicized in the images and text. So to me, this is pretty expensive, if you ask me. Like, in order to be represented as a design winner, you have to pay a huge amount, even though their whole business is presenting great design. But if you don't agree on paying for being represented, even though you might have great design, they're not willing to share that with the rest of the world, right? And this goes for many of these guys. And I want to make an exception here for the A Design Award, because they try to make things differently in that regard, right? So they have this no further fees policy, where they say that basically what we just figured, that you have to pay more and more and more for better awards and better representation by the awards. And but they want to improve the design award and competition landscape by lowering the fees and the accessibility threshold for designers and make the thing very transparent. So for them, you only pay once an entry fee, which depends on your company size and several other factors. And based on all these factors, they calculate a specific amount that you have to pay, which I just went through an example, right? Would be $572 in this example, and that's it. No further fees. With this, money paid, you potentially win or not. But if you win, then you get the rights of all the things that are in the other packages, right? You get to use the awards for a lifetime. You get to be represented in the museums, in the exhibitions, in the books. You can be present everywhere. So they try to make very clear that this is not what we try to do here. We want to be transparent about it, and we don't want to make this like a rip-off sort of subscription where you have to pay in order to get rich. Also, I mean, small companies are in a disadvantage, right? If you think about it, you have to pay to make an entry. But usually these awards, they allow to make multiple entries as long as you don't use the same product for multiple categories, right? So you cannot win 3 Red Dot awards with one product design in 3 different product categories, right? Doesn't make sense. But apart from that, if you have, I don't know, like a huge company like Philips or Samsung, you have, I don't know, how many releases per year of products. Let's say, I don't know, it's 20 different products they enter into this into the award competition. And as a small company, you can max enter maybe 1 if you can afford it even. Then just the probability is much lower, right? For yours to win against the 20 others. Chances are just much higher if you have much more in the competition to begin with. So the award as a business is quite difficult. They have to attract submissions from like good designers and studios and maintain high prestige, high value, right? While generating money somehow. So that's also why they have these packages. But that also means that the more products and entries win, the more revenue they generate, right? But you don't want to wash out the value of all those winners by allowing too many to win. So is it still exclusive or valid? One example here, I think it's this one. So in the If Design Awards in 2022, they had roughly 11,000 entries. And from these 11,000 entries, 1,973 won an award, right? I don't know, that's quite a lot, substantial amount. So it's almost 20% of all the entries, they won an award. So imagine the amount of money they earned. But also, if that happens every year, in 10 years, almost 20,000 designs were awarded. So do you still feel prestige and value from being one of 20,000? Or do you feel like your value is being diminished? So I think this is something to consider too, like just the vast amount, right? So what the K Award does, which I think is interesting, that they say that they have a specific margin. So of all the entries, we will make 10% the winners. And of all the winners, there's only 1% that is the gold winner. And of these, there's only 0.1% that gets the grand prize, or of all of these. So they limit the number of winners already by rule, by default. Anyways, throughout the years, obviously, this will accumulate award winners. But they at least try to reduce the overall winners significantly with that rule. So, and also what you see is that award does not reflect real world impact, right? So it's not the case that all the products that won a design award also perform better on the market or make the highest revenue or are even comparable to other products of the segment, of the category, right? We have many cheap designs that make huge numbers of sales and profit because they're affordable for what they do. And then we have sectors where like you just have a dominant player like Philips in the medical field, right? And when they put something on the market, they potentially have a much wider market share to begin with, and therefore much more power to sell their products compared to a small player in the same segment. If either of them is awarded or not, almost doesn't play a role. So I think these are all very valid critique points that go against what these design awards are apparently standing for, right? They make a huge promise, but they also ask a huge price. And is that something that we as designers want to support, that we want to take part in, or not? I think that's an open-ended question that we have to ask ourselves. But in terms of cost, obviously, also usually the company has an interest in these awards, the client of a design studio. So the price is being paid also by the company with more resources. Or if both of them see the value and benefit of having a design award, maybe the price can be shared between the two parties, right? The client company and the design agency. So the cost can be at least reduced and the gain can be shared amongst the two. Yeah, that I find also interesting. So if we take a look at, so we have here Red Dot Design Award, right? So the JBL tuner, or let's look at the clip 3, right? It's from JBL, so it's designed by Harman International, right? Dario Di Stefano even says so. It won an award back in 2018. And then if you go to the official webpage of JBL, we have the JBL Clip 3 here, but not a single word of the Red Dot Design Award. They don't even advertise it anymore. Maybe they did in the past, I'm not sure. But the way I look at it, not a single object of them is, and I can imagine that these would also have won a design award. So for them, it's not relevant. Because I'm also wondering, do the end customer, do they actually understand the meaning behind design awards or not? If I ask my family and friends, barely any of them ever even knows about the design award. They maybe notice that there's a red dot, right? They are very significant, branded strongly, very attentive color, attention-seeking color. And yet, the meaning for them is much lower than it is for the people that sell it actually and that have to market it, that design it in the first place. Often, at least. There are very much so design-conscious customers and end consumers out there that might value that more than others. But I would say the vast majority does have no clear relation to those awards, a clear understanding what they would mean and why this makes things good design or excellent design. So that's also something to consider. So is the design award actually something that shows improvement for society and towards society, or is it something to boost the ego of a designer and the design studio to validate their feelings and understanding of what good design is? So after hearing all this, what does that mean now for us as designers? Do we have to take part in this whole thing or not? So I think early on, awards feel really attractive for designers, right? Because they, as a young designer, you want validation, you want to grow in confidence and competence, and an award seems to give you exactly that validation. It boosts your confidence, and it marks you as a designer that is capable of excellent design, right? But I'm also truthful about design awards when I say that awards are rarely won by an individual, right? Products are usually designed by teams. Engineering teams are behind it, design teams, clients. Usually design studios cannot do what they want, even if they were capable of achieving a design award. Maybe the project restrictions and requirements forbid to actually apply that wooden nice material that would elevate the whole design to a higher level. So they will never get the design award because the frame around the project does not allow for it. And yet, because it's not just a one-man show, it can also be helpful to work in an environment, if that's something you seek, that is more likely to submit to these awards, where you know they already in the past were validating their work with awards that regularly submit, and where you know the team is a team that also works focusedly on that work. So you can try to get into those specifically if that's something you want, right? So I would say in general, try to focus on your skill development and improving as a designer and not on the award itself. But an award may follow or not. So that is usually dependent on the surrounding conditions of your work environment, of the time, of your location, of the financial aspect, right? So if you feel like you're not a good designer without an award, then I have to say you're not right. You can be a great designer and never get an award. So don't make this the absolute criteria to validate your own design skills. But also, if you feel like you are a good designer, but an award would still help you, don't feel stopped by the critique that I mentioned here, right? Still, if it's something that you look forward to, then work on it. Try to improve your situation and your circumstances to more easily get to the goal of achieving an award. I myself, I worked in teams that won awards, but I don't think I would be able to claim that one of the projects that I had a major hand in was yet awarded. Would I be happy if I would get one? I think so. Because I'm still very conscious, or I have strong doubt about my design skills, right? So I still feel like this would be helping. And yet, with the years, I understood that there's much more about the procedure of design awards, that even getting one does not necessarily say something about me as an individual designer and my skills as an individual, as a designer, right? So it's just like on a surface level, I feel like it would be nice and cool just to check it off my, let's say, list of goals that I had as a designer when I started. But I mean, the greatest designers we know of, right? Like Dieter Rams or John Ive. I have no idea if they ever got design awards, and if so, how many, right? They stand for something much bigger, for design philosophy, for an influence that they had on the entire design field of their time. And I don't think they ever spoke about awards in a way that motivates me to hunt these awards down now, right? So basically, to conclude, I want to say that awards recognize submissions, but not careers, and they capture a moment. But the influence as a designer is measured over decades. So I hope in this video you learned more about what's happening with design awards, what's going on in the background, how the financial aspect is arranged and structured, how you can increase the chances to win awards, but also I maybe started a thought in your mind about if it's something you should be aspiring to or not. And if you like what I did here, you feel like you want to learn more about design, the design world, and content that I might share, then follow, like, and subscribe. Till then,